All right, so today, guys, we're going to be talking about the relevance of youth ministry. Just to kind of get things started, studies show that 85% of youth who do not experience some kind of regular spiritual growth do not keep their faith past college, nor do they come back to any church, and that's 85%. So during my 7 years in youth ministry and now serving as a youth director, I kind of see this more often than not, and I witnessed this firsthand. So I hope through this presentation that the relevance of youth ministry is recognized and it sparks motivation to get involved in some shape or form. So today we're going to look at the problem and the need concerning youth ministry. We're going to look at the solution. We're going to take a minute for a visualization to kind of get an idea of what that would look like for us. So just starting off with the problem, just recognizing the problem, it seems that the church lacks a ministry that is captivating and relevant for our youth. And so this is a significant problem because of the fact that it neglects the purpose of youth ministry in the first place, which is to provide a variety of opportunities and experiences to draw teens into active, responsible participation in the life, mission, and work of the faith community and the greater church. That's the purpose of our youth ministry. Adolescence also is a critical time because it's characterized by a shift in influence from parents to peers. There's a lot going on during adolescence with puberty, so there's a lot of different factors playing in, but this is the time where they begin to listen more to their peers than their parents often. And here in doing that, they're seeking identity and validation. And so it's a small window of opportunity to reach our youth, being that youth are not getting religious as they get older. And we see this in a study that was done in 2010 that revealed that 67% of those who were not raised in religiously affiliated homes remained as such into their adult years. And even some 18% who were brought up in religiously affiliated homes ended up leaving that traditional faith they followed all their childhood. And a third significance of this problem is that the fact is just simple, that this younger generation is the future of the church. And so when we look at the causes for this particular problem, we're looking at there is no consistent effort to invest in our youth spiritually. 32% of pastors actually say that youth ministry is either somewhat, not too much, or not at all a priority in the ministry. Which is like a shocking, yeah. And also another cause is the lack of youth workers and volunteers. And like when you have one person is burned out, that gets burned out, you kind of everything falls through the cracks. Another thing is also we live in a postmodern world. And when you talk about postmodern, it's talking about the thought from traditional thought and ideologies to now this new idea that kind of anything goes and there's more than one way. With that is this whole idea of religious pluralism, which talks about that Christianity or Jesus is not the end all be all. There's options out there. This doesn't have to be the way you choose. And so we're competing with that, and our youth are constantly exposed to those things. And so when we look at the effects of this problem, we see that, again, as I mentioned earlier, we talk about religiously unaffiliated millennials. Millennials are leaving the church and religion because they don't find the church to be personally relevant. Again, 18% of those millennials who were raised in those religious homes are leaving the faith that they've known most of their childhood years. And in that same study, 25% of millennials were unaffiliated, and in 2015 that number jumped to 35%. And so we see it's gradually increasing as time goes on. Another effect of that problem is that our youth are seeking spiritual fulfillment outside of the church, which is a huge issue. A Barna study revealed that 39% of millennials felt like they could find God elsewhere outside of the church. 39%. A national study of youth and religion found that over a 3-year period, a study they did over 3 years, adolescents were shifting away from conventional religious beliefs. And over that 3-year period, more adolescents reported that they were unsure about their belief in God altogether. So that's startling statistics when you think about it. And so when we talk about this problem, what could possibly be a solution? And so for me, the solution is to establish a holistic yet relevant Bible-based youth ministry. And so how will this solution help with this problem that we're having with our youth leaving the church? One, we're exposing them to the unadulterated gospel in a manner that makes sense to them in their language. A second thing is a ministry that is relevant to them, meaning we're meeting them where they are, we're understanding their context, and kind of catering to that context and the culture that they live in. And thirdly, ministry that is inclusive, meaning we're getting the youth involved in the ministry experience. And so how will we achieve this? It's kind of simple. So the first thing is recruitment. We can grab more volunteers, more passionate and dedicated individuals who are mature in their walk and serious about serving our youth. A second thing is once we recruit those people, we got to have leadership training. We've got to teach them how to be leaders and groom them for such a position. And the third thing is parental involvement. And so we have to help parents understand that it's not just on the youth workers, but discipleship starts at home. Parents are by far the main spiritual influences for their children. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do almost. And if we fail to get parents involved in a youth ministry, then we're fighting a losing battle, as is. It's a partnership. We've got to come together. And the fourth most important thing, you got to have youth participation. Parents must help us get the youth involved, and the church must also provide opportunities for youth to get involved. And so when we're talking about all of those things, leadership, training, recruitment, and resources, of course we're going to need some funds for those. So we talk about how when we fund this, there's a number of things. Of course, traditional fundraisers that we've done here at the church. Those are some options, as well as applying for grants or solicit donors to partner with us during this mission. There are programs that will be willing to give you a grant just for the sake of youth ministry. And thirdly, it's going to be maybe possibly doing like a youth ministry pledge month. We've had pledge months for different things, but we can set aside a month in which we just pledge and sow into our youth ministry so that we can make sure that we see this mission come to fruition. And so moving from that, and so now we've identified this problem, we see a possible solution. So like, let's visualize this. Imagine walking into a service and seeing youth engaged in worship. I'm talking hands lifted, their eyes are closed, they're at the altar unashamed to lay before the Lord, crying out. You have youth praying and interceding for their peers beyond just being emotional, but understanding the power of prayer and intercession, and youth just glorifying God with their gifts. That's like an awesome sight when I just think about it. And so parents, imagine your child being able to sit in maybe an adult Bible study class and having the ability to actively engage in the conversation because they know what's going on. You've taught them and you've shown them how to study the word and how to pray and how to intercede. So this could be a reality, but the body of Christ and the parents must be dedicated to investing in our youth today spiritually. So today, we've acknowledged that the church is missing the opportunity to impact today's youth, resulting in their shift away from religion and the church. We've identified that establishing a holistic and relevant yet Bible-based youth ministry creates opportunities for youth to grow spiritually is a key solution to this particular problem. And lastly, we've gotten an idea of how this will look in our ministry. And so now is the time for the body of Christ to get serious about the spiritual well-being of our youth today. The world is competing with us for the lives of our young people, and it's winning because it doesn't appear that there's a real passion by the church to really invest in our youth, especially spiritually. And so we know what this looks like because Judges 2:10 talks about a generation that came after that older generation who didn't know God and did what was pleasing in their own sight and did wickedness before the Lord. And we know that for them, it has some devastating consequences and effects for them. So my final challenge to you guys is to see that youth ministry is necessary in the lives of our young people, especially considering all they're encountering and engaging on a daily basis. Let's let the church be a way out for them. Let's let the church and youth ministry be an escape to the chaos of their worlds by giving them hope and a chance to know Jesus where they currently are. Not above their heads, but where they are, what makes sense to them, and something they can actually grasp. So let's make it our mission to develop our youth holistically. You know, we take time to prepare and cultivate our youth for the classroom, for school, for athletics. We try to get them ready for their careers and for their relationships. Yet we fail to give attention to their spiritual well-being, which is very important, if not most important, because it kind of affects everything else. And so let's prepare to make them, let's prepare them as the next leaders, really, of the church.